This is ABC 7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. Topping our news tonight, if you are tuning in to see what the government is doing about the problem of illegal immigration or gun violence, the answer is a resounding absolutely nothing. The U.S. Supreme Court ruling on President Obama's controversial executive action on immigration deadlocked, which means that the program won't be able to move forward. It will now return to the lower courts and is unlikely to go into effect during the remainder of President Obama's term.
For more than 2 decades now, our immigration system, everybody acknowledges, has been broken. And the fact that the Supreme Court wasn't able to issue a decision today doesn't just set the system back even further. It takes us further from the country that we aspire to be.
The program would have allowed over 4 million undocumented immigrants to apply for temporary work authorization. It was a historic sit-in on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives. For more than 25 hours, Democrats demanded a vote on a bill banning those on the no-fly list from being able to buy a gun. But Republicans are refusing to put the bill up for a vote. Legendary civil rights activist John Lewis leading the sit-in on the House floor. Minutes later, House Speaker Paul Ryan called a recess, shutting off the cameras in the chamber, but that didn't stop Democrats from continuing their showdown, streaming live feeds from the House floor on social media, Ryan calling the sit-in a publicity stunt.
We will not bring a bill that takes away a person's constitutionally guaranteed rights without their due process. This isn't trying to come up with a solution to a problem. This is trying to get attention.
Democrats are vowing to continue their protests and also now trying to come up with a plan about what to do next. New developments in the search for a missing Sarasota family. A second body has now been found, believed to be a member of the Kimberly family, who have been missing since Sunday. The Coast Guard says the body was found about 4 miles southeast of where the first body was located yesterday off of Sanibel Island. Still no confirmation of either identity. The Coast Guard says a helicopter and a boat from the Cortez station spotted what they believe to be a meteor flare. Resources diverted to the search area. Crews have also found birth certificates, a wallet, a GPS, and a cell phone.
As a father of 4, I know how devastating these findings are to them, and we're cognizant of that. This is still an active search, although it's a dire situation.
The Coast Guard has also found a sailboat mast 100 miles offshore off of Fort Myers. The bodies and the other items were all found within 10 miles of one another. The Sarasota County Sheriff's Office is looking to increase its budget by about $7 million more. The Sheriff's Office presented its budget to county commissioners today. The law enforcement agency was working off of a $100 million budget for the fiscal year. Sheriff Tom Knight is asking the county to increase the budget by about $7 million for the upcoming year. The sheriff says the additional funding is necessary. He is looking to hire 6 more deputies, 1 lieutenant, 1 school resource deputy, a chemist, and a media specialist.
We want to drive crime down. We want to take care of quality of life in this county. We want to make sure our tourism is secure and safe and our beaches are secure and safe, and to work with the county government to ensure that people want to continue to come back to Sarasota County or people want to move here.
The budget was approved today, but the final meeting is in late September. There will not be another bear hunt in Florida this year. The Fish and Wildlife Commission voted against holding a bear hunt in October. The commission agreed with a recommendation to allow non-lethal bear control efforts to take hold. Critics of the proposed hunt say that they are pleasantly surprised by the vote.
The majority decided that it was better just to stop, regroup, see if we could fix the bear issue in other ways before they resort to killing again.
A bear hunt will likely be considered for 2017. Florida's black bear population has grown over the past 4 decades. Bears were removed from Florida's list of threatened species in 2012. And Bob, one word for today: hot.
Yeah, unbearable, you might say, at times. We had a heat index up at 100 degrees, and it looks like this pattern is going to continue, too, right through the weekend. So we're getting back to more summer conditions after a really nice start on Monday and Tuesday with that lower temperatures around and also more comfortable as far as the humidity goes. Right now, Sarasota Bay webcam is showing what's been going on today. Not a whole lot near the coast. The inland storms have been firing up, and they continue to do so. But right near the water, things are fairly calm at this time. And you can see that southeasterly component bringing the east coast breeze all the way over now with some big storms into East Manatee County. Just as of late, we had a few earlier showers down near Charlotte Harbor and also into South Sarasota County. But this is by far the biggest one just to the east of Bethany on State Road 64. That is moving to the west, and this is going to continue in that direction. So it may hold together or kick off some other cells closer to I-75 and west of that this evening. As far as the south goes, Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda, you're okay now. We'll keep an eye on that line that's now moving through East Charlotte County at this point. With all this heat of the day and still a lot of moisture in the mid-levels to low levels of the atmosphere, I should say, we're going to see more of these evening storms, I think, scattered about, and then things will start to calm down. Now, as far as the forecast goes, we are expecting high temperatures to stay a little bit above average like they were today. 91 degrees, that's a couple degrees above the average. For boaters, not much out there in terms of wind. Seas will be running less than 2 feet, and that will stay with us through Saturday and Sunday as well. The heat index will be at 100 degrees tomorrow, I should say, and partly cloudy skies anticipated with a high of 89. The extended forecast does call for a better chance for those showers to be around during the afternoon and evening, Alan, right through the weekend. So it should be a pretty decent weekend, though.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, life for men after a human trafficking conviction. We'll take a look at the efforts of local John School programs.
The official Suncoast Storm team at ABC 7. We're here for you.
You know what scares me? No electricity. Yeah, when this magical box suddenly stops working, I call the pros at Mr. Sparky and they send a superhero to save the day. How's it going, Pablo?
It's going great, Mike.
Pablo possesses amazing skill. He can perform incredible feats at blinding speed.
Superhero. Couldn't have done it without you.
Modest, too.
Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Just to be clear, I don't live here.
This Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix Minute is brought to you by Sarasota Ford.
Powerboat P1, P1 Marine Foundation, and Suncoast Charities for Children invite you to Share the Beach. In an effort to protect local wildlife during Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix Festival, beachgoers should wait until sunrise to set up on the beach race weekend due to turtle nesting. And if you see a manatee, give them the right-of-way and don't touch them. Together, we can all enjoy the races and share the beach.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford because Sarasota Ford guarantees you our lowest price on every new Ford every day. Save on America's best-selling truck, 39 years running, the Ford F-150. Fusions, Escapes, over 800 vehicles on site or online, all on sale. Buy with 0% for 60 months. And now, get up to $2,000 trade assistance. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Last week, we learned what happens to women who are the victims of human trafficking, but what's being done about the men who solicit prostitution here on the Suncoast? They go to John School, courses that are now government mandated to try to stifle the demand for prostitution. And Adam Cellini is here to tell us more about it.
Yeah, Alan, they call it taking the man out of demand by giving them an inside look at the world of human sex trafficking.
25-year-old Suncoast native was once a John, a term used by law enforcement to describe someone who solicits prostitutes. He asked to keep his identity a secret, but says he learned months ago to open up about his problem.
What it started off was pornography. What it developed into was like picking up girls who were sex trafficked. And those were the two things that were like big.
He says the quote-unquote lifestyle led several close friends down a destructive path. The lucky ones went to jail, some lost their lives.
It can take you to a deep place that you don't want to be in, and you'll be, if you don't get help, if you don't release yourself from it, then you could end up hurting people 10 times more.
A minister eventually led this young man to the local anti-prostitution organization More to Life and their Restorative Justice End Demand Education, or RJED, programs. In RJED, he learned the truth behind prostitution, the abuse, the drugs, the STDs, while receiving counseling on his own demons.
Honestly, to cast down a lot of the lies that I feel like I have in my own mind of, oh, I can't tell anybody because I'll be hated, I'll be judged, I'll be, be called a hypocrite. But there's not been one person that's done that so far.
When we go back, we teach them things that they should have probably learned in their childhood and didn't. And they're just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I didn't know that, I didn't know this.
Thanks to the efforts last year by More to Life founder Dr. Brooke Bello, John School is now state mandated following a prostitution arrest. Bello runs the program here in the 12th Judicial Circuit. First offenders pay $210 for the course instead of jail time, and everyone else is required to take it in addition to sentencing. State Attorney Ed Brodsky says it fills a major gap in the effort to reduce prostitution.
It's early for us to know how successful the program is, but the alternative is, when we talk in terms of success, the alternative is we do nothing. We do nothing to educate the men about the situation that these women find themselves in.
Derek Thompson has taken 35 individuals through the RJED program this year, a combination of court-ordered and volunteers. The roster, he says, isn't what many expect.
The majority are married with children. The majority do not have a criminal history background. They're not criminals.
The idea is to cut off the demand, which Thompson says drives the supply of human trafficking victims. But men are also informed of the critical role they play in this equation from home.
100% of the women and youth that we serve at More to Life come from a fatherless home.
Earlier this year, More to Life helped juvenile victims testify in the sexual abuse case against former mental health hospital worker Jeremy Henry. But what people forget is that Henry is leaving 2 young sons behind.
I would think that his sons now need preventative care, that his sons need to go through some kind of process to understand, because they're very young. Now, what did Daddy do, and what does that mean?
Whatever the future holds for this victim, he's confident temptation will no longer be a part of it.
There's been kind of a wall. Even if I wanted to go back, I keep hitting that wall I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. So it's really freeing.
The RJED program is currently self-sustaining thanks to the revenue generated by the people attending its classes. But More to Life says they will apply for state funding for this and other programs in next year's session.
Adam, thank you. And in a moment, our roundtable.
This is a special health alert for seniors suffering with joint pain. If you have Medicare insurance, you may qualify for high-quality support braces at little or no cost.
I'm thrilled with my knee braces.
Now, there is a simple and proven solution for seniors to get out of pain with state-of-the-art support braces.
I barely feel any pain at all.
Braces for your knees and back, as well as your shoulders and ankles, too.
I'm so happy with the quality of these braces.
Call now, and you could qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost.
I can play ball again, and it doesn't hurt.
And because of my Medicare coverage, it costs me next to nothing.
So call now.
And because I have this red, white, and blue Medicare card, my braces have cost me just about nothing.
It's true. You may get a knee, back, shoulder, and ankle brace at little or no cost.
They qualified me for 2 knee braces and a back brace.
If you have knee or back pain, give them a call. They can help.
1-800-476-8967. 1-800-476-8967.
Today, everyone is looking for carpeting that lasts longer. G. Fried has you covered with Karastan. With a legacy of quality and integrity, we provide you with a huge selection of Karastan carpets with exclusive lifetime limited warranties. All installed by our highly skilled, highly knowledgeable team. Come ask us why Karastan is the best and most durable. G. Fried Flooring America. Our world is at your feet.
I'm Dale Mast, and we're celebrating 40 years on the west coast of Florida. It's our 40th anniversary, and it's time for a celebration, the Culligan Hydration Celebration. For a limited time, celebrate by taking $250 off any Culligan home system. That's $250 off Culligan water softener systems, drinking water systems, or whole house water filters. Help us celebrate our 40th anniversary, and remember,
for better water, pure and simple, call today and say,
Hey, Culligan man.
Welcome back, and joining us tonight is Dr. Brooke Bello, the founder and CEO of More to Life, and Derek Thompson, the vice president of one of the programs there. I want to thank you both for joining us on this really important subject. And one of the things that occurred to me when we were watching Adam's story is, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but when we talk about the drug problem, you've heard people from some of the countries that produce narcotics saying, well, if you didn't have the demand in the U.S., we wouldn't have the manufacturing or the growing of drugs in South America.
Right.
Is that kind of the same thing here?
Absolutely, absolutely, Alan. In any industry, we don't like to call it an industry, but many people do. They call it the sex industry. Demand drives supply. A trafficker pimp, they have a statement. They say, why burn when you can turn? If you get someone so addicted on drugs, which has its bridge to sex trafficking, then you just throw her out in the street and she just looks like a has-been, and you go find someone else young. And so for every one individual that's prostituted or violated on a given night, there are 1 to 10 men who will purchase that individual.
And Derek, the other interesting thing I heard in Adam's story is obviously a lot of the people who come to your organization for these classes are mandated by the court, but on the other hand, there are people who come in voluntarily. Who are those people, and how do they get to the point that they're doing it when they are not being ordered by a court to do so?
Yeah, you know, it's an issue that I think men haven't felt, comfortable being a part of, the anti-sex trafficking work or sexual violence. And I think with the work of More to Life and other great anti-trafficking organizations out there that are focusing on demand as a core issue that feeds into the crime, more and more men are feeling more comfortable. And on top of that, I think as men learn more about the ills of pornography and just in their own personal lives feeling unsatisfied, that's creating more a sense of urgency for men to want to seek help.
And the other, I think, all too, Alan, is that we ignite honor on the inside of men. A lot of John schools around the country really have the, we don't do that because they're already in a really bad, dark rabbit hole. They've been prosecuted. And so we ignite honor on the inside of men, because many it's a first offense. And we want to say that we don't really like to call it a John School as much as we like to call it restorative justice and demand education, because it's not just buyers, it's also men with sexual violences as well.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is really a tough question, but when you cover stories involving pedophilia, and you talk to the experts in the field, they often tell you that this is not something that can be cured. So if you're talking about almost an addiction to prostitution or pornography, does that fall under the same category, or are we talking about something completely different?
Sometimes it might, because sexual violence is camouflaged in a highly sexualized society. And so let's say someone, many of the men who are prosecuted are first offense, but they've done something in their past. We know fathers who have violated their children. Their children were 12, their children were 7. They may have a bust later on. We don't know. And so we can't say. If someone's a deep, hardcore pedophile, no, this is not the panacea. However, if you're going to be released back into the community, we have had pedophiles take the course. They're registered offenders, and it's post their 10-year jail sentence. And so when they go through that course, we give them a safe place to talk and to heal and to be educated, and then we know where they're not, because we want to lower recidivism rates, which is recriming.
Derek, is there a way to, basically talk about what kind of results that you get? And is there any kind of empiric data that shows that when you go through this program, you are less likely to reoffend?
Yeah, well, the program here locally we've had 100% success rate with the men as far as their understanding what prostitution was before coming in and seeing the change results.
So there have been no rearrests for this?
Well,
no,
right.
Not so far. And the national stats are 70%.
Yeah,
so.
And then on the national level, that's a 70% success rate in reducing recidivism. And so it is a very successful model. The education is really, really powerful. I think there's a lot of myths and misunderstandings that drive the buyer demand. And when you break those myths down and really speak to the heart of men, it is a powerful education that it's hard to walk away from and leave unchanged.
100% success is something
so far.
Well, it's an extraordinary number. What would make this program different than other programs around the country which have 70% success?
I think it's the restorative justice piece. For all the victims we serve, so far not one of them has had a great relationship with their father. When they begin to understand not only my story, but the story of other victims and the history of prostitution and sexual violence and pornography and the root causes, they're like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Some were violated. We had one who was a registered offender, and he was raped many times by his grandfather. He had no idea. He had never got help for it. It happened for 4 years. He had no idea that that caused him to have these addictions later in life. And so now he can get the help he needs, and he can have a safe place to do that with a therapist that we send him to.
And on top of that, our education, one thing that makes a difference is that we do offer 90 days of follow-up. So it's not just the 8-hour educational class that they're taking, but we're following up with those men to check in with them, how are you doing, and offer continued mentoring and coaching to ensure success.
Are these programs conducted in the same physical location as where the victims of human? Okay, because that I was I was wondering if there would be any interaction to show the men the physical results of what happens.
No, and it's highly confidential. It's a highly confidential course. Matter of fact, when we have our lunch break, we do a 10-minute break every hour and 20-minute lunch. They come in really like, oh my God. And by lunch, they don't want to leave because for the first time, there's this interaction there, but to discuss what they're going through, and it's quite powerful. And at the end, Alan, when someone says, in tears, not one guy so far has not cried. What about my son? How do I teach him this as well?
How many men can you handle a year going through this program, and is your capacity sufficient for the demand that is out there?
We can handle 75 men a month. It's quite a large classroom.
Right now, we know the demand. We can grow it. The demand that's out there, we'll be busy for a long time.
And the courts are they contribute how to, in terms of money and
just through the probationary process, and the man has to pay for it. So he's basically making a $210 donation to More to Life. And we also recently have done a 4-week course for Harvest House locally, and we'll be working with them quarterly for all the men in their program who are high risk.
Okay.
And so we are educating. I think we need to educate the courts, the judges, the community at large, because there is misunderstanding about what restorative justice and demand education is, that it's not a John school, and so the education is important.
Extraordinary work. I want to thank you both for coming in tonight, and we will be back in just a moment.